All right, so now we will show you how to use the basics of the Slate Reader. One disclaimer before we go into the Slate Reader is that there are multiple options for how programs would like to review applications, and nothing is prescriptive. We will show you a general overview in the webinar, but you have multiple options for how you'd like to handle the Slate Reader and your application review. These are some ideas for you, but you are welcome to handle this however your program does. The Slate Reader is the third icon. So we were there earlier when we went from the application tab. This is going into the Slate Reader just in general. So if you click Slate Reader, you will first come to this home page of the Reader, which is the Reader is the evaluation tool. There are some helpful hints on the right side here for how to move through the Reader, which can be really helpful for being more efficient. The next tab is the Browse tab. This will give you a basic overview of all of your applications and where they are in the process. So again, you're only going to see numbers that are associated with the applications that you have access to. So they'll be different than ours, but you can see, for example, for the applications that I have access to, I have 1,900 in progress, 34 awaiting payment, 4 who are still uploading their transcripts, 50 that are in the program review first read bin. And so you can see definitely where things are in the process. It's a really good visual overview of kind of your progress and your applicant's progress. You also have some options to filter this information. So if you're a department that has multiple degrees, you can just filter here, similar to querying, for your Doctor of Philosophy applications, for example. So you can easily come in here and narrow down what you see. You can see how our numbers changed. We know that some programs don't want to look at applications until they're complete. So in this drop-down box, you all should have complete application graduate school preset as one of your options. If you click there, that's only going to pull up the applications that have all of their required materials in, and you can see the different criteria here. You also can play with that. You won't change the preset overall, don't worry, but you can make changes based on what complete status means for your program, or if you have different if you want to say, well, we want complete applications, except we don't care if they've paid the application fee, for example. X that out. So again, your numbers will change based on that criteria, and you have the option to add multiple filters and complete applications if you wish. So a few notes about this visual representation. In progress applications are those that have not yet been submitted. You are welcome to click on that bin, and you can view these applications, which is a really nice feature of this system. By clicking on the document tab, you can see the actual application in any of the bins. So if you see the person that you're looking for, you just highlight the display copy and you can pull that up like we just saw. You can see that this applicant has completed this part of the application. When you're in the Slate Reader, if you want to get back to your previous menu, just click the gray Slate button at the top and it'll bring you back to where you were. We'll go back to Browse to see, again, that composite view. Awaiting payment are applicants that have submitted but have not yet paid the application fee. Awaiting materials is going to be a very rare stop for most applications. Applicants are required to upload transcripts from all schools they list in their application. If something happened with one of those uploads, they'll go into this awaiting materials bin. It's only for unofficial transcripts. So most applications you see will likely go from in progress to awaiting payment and straight over to program review first without hitting this bin. But it is one of the pre-review bins because it's missing unofficial transcripts. The moving from bin to bin in the pre-review column happens automatically. You do not touch these. You do not move these. Do not move in-progress applications to a recommendation bin. They are not submitted. They should not be denied or withdrawn or admitted in any way. Same with awaiting payment. According to graduate school policy, an application must be paid by the application deadline to be eligible for review. So again, no moves in the pre-review column. Once an application is automatically moved to the application review column, then as a program user, you can begin to take actions on an application. And we'll walk you through that process now. One note to mention, applications in the application review column, again, may not be complete. We did not want to hold up programs from moving applications that might be missing one aspect. For example, some portions of the application are not at the applicant's discretion. So a recommender could be late in submitting a recommendation. We don't want to penalize an applicant or a program for that. So you can look at those applications once they're in the application review column. They might not have all aspects submitted. Again, if you want to just see your complete applications, use that complete application preset. If you're a program who won't look at an application until it's absolutely complete, for example. So, get that off real quick. Once an application hits the program review first read, again, it is eligible for review at the program level. By clicking into the bin, you will see all the applications that you have access to in that bin. If you just want to view an application, click on the display copy again, and you can see the different aspects of the application. One moment. And you can scroll through different pages. So you can see the transcripts that were uploaded. Different aspects of the application. We'll click back to Slate. So if you want to possibly take an action on an application, you should highlight that in dark blue by clicking it and add it to your queue. Adding an application to your queue does not mean that other people can't do it. And an application can be in more than one queue at a time. We like to think about it as like you're picking out a book library, sort of like you are saying, I'm going to put this in my queue, or like a Netflix queue, I guess. Others can have the same movie in their queue at the same time, but you're saying, I want to do something with this applicant. So I added that application to my queue, and now I'm automatically in my queue. So we will pull up the application that we just added. And adding an application to your queue allows you to take notes. You can use these icons down here at the bottom to highlight different aspects of the application, to annotate it in any way you choose. Again, same options to scroll through. On any application in the reader, if you highlight the name and the applicant ID at the top, click there. Click there. Okay. You'll have different options. So you can email from the Slate Reader. You'll see different phone numbers. You can see a quick snapshot here. You can also look up the application. If you click here, it's going to pull it up on the back end. So where we have been previously in our internal navigation, you can see all this information. You don't lose where you were in the reader. So you have a new tab. You can click back to where you were, end up right back where you were. You can download a PDF from here. You can open the application in a new window. You can see any decisions that were made. So you can see a lot of information. You can click back out of that. So if you are ready to move this application through the reader, you do that through a review form, send to bin. You can only have that option once an application is in your queue. So let's say you want to move this application to the reader committee bin for some of your faculty readers to look at the application. Next bin is required, as you see. And you can move it to different bins within. Or you can add a reader, for example. So if you want someone else to look at this application, you can say, hi, Sean, look at this one. And you can add something to someone's queue just by doing this. We did not. For some reason we're getting strange bin options. So let me pull up a different one here. Open up the application. It's already in our queue. Go to review form, send to bin. It's a different example of the same thing. And you're telling us where to put this application. Again, we're striking out here with our test application. Sorry. All right, let's see. Let's try this one. Okay, so you can choose the next bin. So let's say your faculty have decided they want to admit this applicant. This is how you're going to tell the graduate school what action you're taking. If you're admitting an applicant, you choose Program Admit as the next bin. Let us know that you want this applicant to be recommended for admission. Click OK, and your admit checklist will come up. You'll need to complete this and give the information to the graduate school for us to process the admit and finalize it. So you can scroll through the different pages of the application to allow you to complete this without ever having to leave the application. So you can see, based on the transcript, if the GPA meets standards. You can see if they have 3 letters of recommendation. Test app, so we don't have letters of recommendation here, but you can go to the letters and you can make sure they have 3. If you say no to any of these options, this justification box will appear. You'll be required to enter a justification for why this applicant should be admitted regardless of not meeting recommended standards. Again, we ask that these justifications be individualized per applicant and speak to their individual abilities. So you complete your checklist. You choose a reason here. If your program has official subplans in Connect Carolina, you will have the option to choose your official subplan for that applicant here as you're admitting them. Also, for programs to award master's degrees to doctoral students. So if you know that every doctoral student will automatically earn an MA or an MS or a master's degree en route to earning that doctoral degree, please choose that here. Let the graduate school process know that we would add that to Connect Carolina so that the record is accurate when they begin their student career. Again, the subplans don't even show because this program doesn't have subplans, but you will see that option if you have them for your program. And the master's degree eligible as well. Only use them, you're not required to use those, only use them if they apply to your program. So you said that you want to admit this person. Since you have a no and a justification, we will say does not meet standards. Down to the bottom, and we will send. You don't need to add a new reader. We'll send. Oops, we didn't do one part. You will be told by the system if you're missing justification, so we will add that back. We'll click send. And it has now left my queue. If I go back to that browse view, we will see that application right here that we just did has moved to the program admit bin. So we saw it move from program review to program admit. You are not required to move through every one of these bins, for example. If your program does reviews on a committee basis all in one room and you do them all together, you can't move straight from program review first read into program admit or to program deny. Other programs do their admitting and their evaluation and their review in the Slate backend. So we'll show you a little bit about what your faculty can see. Again, your faculty are encouraged to just use the Slate Reader URL to come in, and they can come right here. You can have their applicants already in their queue for them if you'd like to use that route, or you can have them come into Reader Committee and pull up those applicants that you'd like them to look at. We'll use a test application, but if they come into Reader Committee, I already have this application in my queue, so I will click it. We'll try this one, maybe. We'll add to the queue. And then we will pull it up and we'll pretend to be a faculty reviewer. So your faculty will come in, they'll go to review form, send to bin. And if they check this Reader Committee review form, they can evaluate this application right here by looking at the pages electronically. They can give notes and say yes. Or please admit, and different ratings for different aspects of the application. The total rating will automatically update for you, so you don't even have to do basic math. you can overall impression, and they can recommend a decision here. So you can have all your reviewers come in and you can look at what they think you should do. And then they can move it on to the review complete bin, where you as the program user can go pick it up and you can see different aspects of the application. So we just moved that one to review complete. If we come in and look at that application, in the review form section, it's highlighted in green. That means something new has been added since you last looked at the application. That's for any of these different categories of the application here. So you can see that review form that was just submitted. It would be there if it was submitted. So the different review forms that have been done on this applicant are here. And you can see what different people said. Back to the browse view. The applications that you are using at the program level, can move from program review, again, to the recommendation column. You can move to program waitlist if you want to maintain an internal waitlist within your program. You can put different applicants in the interview bin. And then you can move them down from this column to review complete and then move over to these decision columns. But you will not move over to the admit, deny, or withdraw deferral column. That's a graduate school action. Any application that you move over to program admit or deny, the graduate school will process. Any application you move to program waitlist, you are required at the program level to then later make a decision whether you want to admit them or deny them. We do not take any action on waitlisted applications. Anything in the interview bin as well, we'll need to eventually have a recommendation put on it. If you have an application in the decision hold bin, that means that you gave us a recommendation, but something was wrong or missing. So your graduate school processor will put applications in this bin. You'll receive an email telling you exactly what happened, and then you can come retrieve the application from this bin, make the changes, and then resubmit it. That's when you'll use that bin. If you have applications in your queue, you can come straight to your queue and you can pull them up already. If you want to search because you have so many applications, you can come over to the search and start looking for different people in that bin or in the whole browse view. You can see any recently viewed applications by going to recent. We have some help options available where you can get some Slate documentation on different aspects of the reader. And if you want to get out of the reader, what we're going to show you now, we'll go back to the browse. We've shown you how your faculty can view an application via the reader committee bin or their queue, and they can log in directly to this screen. And we've shown you as a program user how to move an application sort of through the reader and get them to these recommendation bins. That's for moving one application at a time. We're going to now show you how to move multiple applications and to add readers on a multiple application basis, which will involve leaving the reader. Again, we have a lot of information available about different options for using the Slate Reader. You are required to use the reader as a program user, student services manager, to at the very least let the graduate school know which action should be taken on an application. Otherwise, how you use the reader is completely at the program's discretion. You can use it in multiple different ways, and we have lots of documentation that can outline that, and we will have additional trainings on the reader as well. We will exit the reader, and we'll go back to the queries menu to show you how to make some moves on some applications on a mass basis. So if you go back to your queries, you can do this for any query that you already have built, or you can build one specifically for this, but we'll use the ones we just wrote this morning. Webinar test, we'll pull it up. And we know we already have, we want to move these people. We want to move them all because they're all complete. We want to move them all to admit, for example, not to admit. We want to move them all to reader committee. Thank you. Run query. Instead of outputting to Excel or to a communication, you can output to bin. You choose that output and click export. You'll have some options here. You can select all. You can select individual. You want to do all of them on multiple pages, you can choose update all. You can use the search here to pull up individual applicants. So lots of options here with whatever you choose to select. And then so you can choose either to move the bin, or you can add reader, or you can do both. So we'll set bin, and we want to move all of these to reader committees. We want all these to be reviewed by the faculty. Click reader committee, and then you can click update selected, and they'll all move in that reader to that certain bin. You can also add readers if you'd like. Again, start typing the name of any Slate user, and you can put them in that reader's queue. You can add as many as you'd like here. These are real applications in this query, so we're not going to actually do it. But you don't have to do both. You don't have to move the bin and add the readers. You can do one or the other. If you click update selected, it would be in those readers' queues that you've added, and they would all move to reader committee. I alluded earlier, you cannot use this bin and reader to move applications to a decision recommendation bin. You'll have to do that admit checklist or that deny checklist to move them to a decision recommendation. So this is to be used to move them through that program review bin in the reader. Or you can move applications, say, from program review first read to reader committee, or from program review first read to, if you want to move them all to interview, or some of them to interview. You can mass move in these bins that are at your discretion. If you're moving to admit or to deny, we need more information from you, so we will not be able to process those in batch. And that is a basic overview of the Slate Reader, both within the reader and within using that query tool. And that concludes our general Slate overview webinar for the 2018 admission cycle. If you have questions, UNC Slate support can answer technical questions. gradadmissions@unc.edu is here for all your application and graduate school policy questions. And again, we'll have reference documents and additional trainings in person out to you shortly. Thank you.